Hey guys, and welcome to our review for The Report, directed by Scott Z. Burns,
Ooh.
starring Adam Driver and Annette
Ooh.
Bening.
Ooh.
My name is Scott Ellis. I'm joined here by Phil Clark.
Amazon Prime original,
Yes,
It's
indeed.
prime time.
baby.
Prime. Also joining us, Adam Franey.
I'm here, man. I'm ready. My first Prime original movie review. Is this the first one that we've ever done?
Really?
You were never really here?
Manchester by the Sea.
The Big
Did
Sick? I don't know if we reviewed
I don't know if we reviewed any of those,
Yeah.
did we?
Crazy.
Yeah.
Phil, can you give us a little synopsis of
Fuck
The
yeah.
Report?
The Report. So, The Report is following Daniel Jones, a government investigator, as he attempts to publish a report chronicling the lack of accountability within the CIA as it pertains to the use of torture post 9/11.
Right.
Wow.
Enhanced interrogation
Techniques. EITs.
Yes.
Many of them.
Yes. Including waterboarding.
Insult
As well as-
slash slap.
Slapping them. Yeah, crazy.
Chaining them to the floor.
Chaining them to the ceiling. Crazy. Adam, let's jump over to you. What are your thoughts about The Report?
My thoughts. eh?
General thoughts and
Well, like my thoughts on the real thing, it's pretty horrific. I agree with Daniel Jones. It's pretty fucked up. My thoughts on the movie, though, The Report by Scott Z. Burns. I liked it. Oh, yeah. I'm going out on a limb.
you like The
people.
Report?
I thought The Report was good. I
That's
wasn't
the
blown
general
away.
consensus.
Is it?
Yes, currently
Really?
sitting at 81%.
Good, good, okay.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
makes me feel validated, Scott, when you tell me that. Yeah, it's like I'll preface with it's like maybe my least favorite genre. I'm not a big fan of this type of dry
Political corruption movie.
Investigative journalism
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah, I guess not. Yeah, like it's substance over style.
Right.
I think it's like
That's
very
fair.
hip and like popular and cool and trendy to be like fuck style over substance, but like nobody ever shits on substance over style enough. I
Right.
feel like I want to champion shitting on like information dumps,
Right.
you know?
Wikipedia dumps.
Just the Wikipedia, like I'm
WikiLeaks,
so
baby.
often, yeah. I watch these movies and I'm like, I could have Googled what happened
I
and
could have
read
read
it,
the page.
and it just would be
Wikipedia.
over, and I would have got the same thing I got from this
Same
movie.
information. Yeah.
But I say all that to say this movie was more than that. I thought Adam Driver was awesome in this. He's an amazing actor. Like Marriage Story and this movie in 1 year is pretty impressive. Oh, and he has some other movie coming out next week.
There's some fighting in.
Yeah,
In
some
space or
sort of
something.
war in the stars. Someone's gonna rise. I don't know, but yeah, he's awesome in this, and he kept me like riveted. The subject matter is certainly riveting. I think also like a lot of times these types of movies are from my and our parents' era, and I'll watch these sorts of things with them,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll be like, "Oh, I remember like following that live," and I'm just kind of lost, or I'm just in the corner like, "Oh, that must have been cool." But with this one, it's actually from our lifetime. I'm 27, so I could relate. I'm like, yeah, I remember. I know, scary, right? Like I remember all of this stuff kind of coming out live, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Adam Driver in the movie is sort of like the audience's conduit. Like he's watching the news reports and being like, "Nope, that didn't happen. That's a lie."
Yeah,
Right?
there was like that photo that was released of like the soldiers like posing with the detainee.
Yeah,
I remember when that came out.
Yeah, I was telling, shouts out to Emily, my girlfriend, we watched it together. I was telling her, I'm like, oh my god, I remember this friggin' photo, it's
Yeah.
horrifying. And she wasn't familiar with it. She liked it a lot too, the movie. And yeah, it wasn't that like floating talking head just firing info at your face. And I thought Annette Bening was awesome.
Yeah, she was really good.
Like,
solid, yeah.
Unrecognizable. I was just like very subtle, but just changed her whole cadence of speaking and her look and like wardrobe and everything was just like unrecognizable. You know, at the end of the day, it is a bit of I use this a lot. It is a bit of a cheeseburger, if you will. Been done 100 times.
What do you mean by that?
Well, Scott, let me go to the analogy again. I've had 100 cheeseburgers in my day. You know, some good, some bad. You never really remember your favorites. You never really
I do.
never really remember your least favorites.
I do.
That's kind of like pizza to me.
It's like pizza. That's a perfect
You know,
example.
I never had a bad
Cheese-
slice of pizza.
Yeah.
You know?
You know, you never. It's hard to fuck up pizza, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. It's good. It's enjoyable. I'm gonna have another one day, but I'm not like jumping up and down. Oh my god, that McDonald's cheeseburger was unreal.
Yeah.
But it hits the spot. You know, I was hungry and it hit the spot.
All right.
Yeah,
Let's see.
it was fine.
All right, Phil. Let's jump over to you.
Mm.
What are your thoughts about the report?
I do kind of agree with Adam. I did like this movie.
You okay? You feeling okay?
I enjoyed this movie. Like you said, it was interesting because there's parts of the movie that you go like, oh yeah, I remember that happening, and oh yeah, I remember hearing about this, and
Thank you.
I remember these events occurring, not just like in the movie, but also like in real life, and
Yeah.
it's interesting to see how like they spread this movie out over the timelines, like over the time period of him investigating all the going ons.
There's goings on.
What I will say I really liked about this movie is like the kind of behind the scenes look at like maybe not so in depth, but the kind of general overview of like, okay, a committee gets together and says, let's look at this thing, like this happened, how that kind of goes about, how people are picked for it, how they kind of have to work through things, how they have
With the
rules and like
CIA
guidelines,
and-
and like they report back to the committee, and the committee gets to decide what like the goings on of like the democratic processes. I found really interesting because we don't really get to see a lot of that. Like you hear about, oh,
It's behind the scenes.
they're doing a report on this, but you never really get to understand, and I thought that was really cool to understand. I also thought it was a pretty shocking movie in
Yeah.
the sense that like you're watching it and you're like, this is really fucked up, and then you're like, even if like half of this happened, of the events that occur in the movie, even if half of this happened, you'd be like, that's absolutely fucked.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what
Fucked.
what portion of them actually did happen, but it's just shocking to me that like those are events that transpired in some fashion like that. Like it still blows me away that like that happened. I know it's like it doesn't really have anything to do with the movie itself, but the fact that like they've kind of broken it down into these events and then like chronicled their like discovery and retelling of it, it's like I can't believe that happened.
I think. Sorry.
I agree with that.
I was just gonna say. I think I didn't say that enough. Like,
Yeah.
it was insanely shocking,
Yeah,
and I think that kind of helped, like, get me through
I
it,
agree.
rather than just be like entranced of this like stream of information
Yeah.
through dialogue. They would like almost like slap me awake with like a horrific torture scene,
Yeah.
torture visual.
Or like
Like it
Adam.
would cut back to like when they mentioned this person, then it would cut back to like them getting waterboarded,
Yeah.
Yes.
and it would sort of bring context to the name that they were talking about.
Yeah.
Oof.
And, like,
waterboarding.
I think Adam Driver getting like angry about like the dialogue that was happening between departments and stuff like that really drove it home too. It's like he was like, this, how did this even happen? Like not even what they're saying now doesn't even make sense with like
Yeah.
anything that's going on.
Pretty
So
frustrating.
I thought that was really interesting. But for some reason I wasn't like fully edge of my seat. Like I did find myself kind of like I would get invested and then it would kind of wane a bit, and I'd kind of had peaks and valleys in terms of my attention. Like not maybe my attention, but like the intensity of the movie seemed like it was very like up and down. So I didn't love it, but I really enjoyed it, and I think it's
I didn't
an
love it either.
important movie to see. I don't know if it's a great movie, if that makes sense.
Wow.
Yeah,
I like that.
I kind of agree with you guys, and maybe I like it the least, but
You hated
It's
Fuck
a
me.
zero.
the thing is that the actual
Fake news.
the story
it.
itself,
It's fake.
the story itself is so crazy, that the CIA was torturing detainees, kind of like Adrian Veidt style,
Mm.
the ends justify the means and all that kind of thing. I get the information at any cost, and
Lie.
it's crazy. It's crazy that they were obviously trying to suppress it, and they were hoping that people would forget about it and all this stuff. And yeah, just the story itself is crazy, but I just felt the film itself was a bit lacking. Like when you compare it to similar type movies like The Post or like Spotlight.
Yeah.
I was reminded a lot of this of The Post.
So like Spotlight, for example, like had this great emotional moments in the film, and this film didn't have a lot of that.
No.
You know, you get those outbursts, but he could have said those things without it being an outburst.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it just would have got the information across. But there was no, I don't know, like there were some crazy moments in Spotlight, you know, that had a great tension and certain things like that. And there was a brief moment of tension, maybe when he's sort of when he's talking to the security guard. Like, is that the most tension we're gonna get? Or even like when he's sitting in the car talking to the reporter, you know, not, you know, it just, there wasn't that sort of that extra cinematic bite that you would expect in a movie like this. Like it was very clinical in the sense of giving you the information. You will now be outraged, and then you will now move on with the rest of your day.
It's a bit cold.
Yeah.
I didn't mention that. Yeah, it's a bit cold.
And I liked Adam Driver. I liked everyone in it. There was a lot of bit actors in this that had very small parts, but are, you know, like recognizable.
John Hamm was really good too.
John Hamm was good.
Yeah, he was.
In the sort of like 3 scenes that he was in.
Mm-hmm.
Tim Blake Nelson was in like 2 scenes.
Looking Glass himself.
He was great.
Buster himself.
We even had that kid from the OC in one scene that was one of the torturer people. Anyways, the guy from Gotham, he's in
Jim
Gotham.
Gordon.
Yeah, we got Jim Gordon in one shot.
I forgot.
Just a lot of stuff like that. But I think a lot of them were a little bit underutilized, and I almost wish I would know more about the man, Dan himself, right?
Dan the Man.
Like, I know it's not about him, it's about the report that he was writing, but there might have been some through line with his character and why, you know, sort of his angle on it and why he was so invested in it. It might have had, again, maybe more emotion to it.
Yeah.
It might have brought something else. And again,
I agree.
I'm not
That's true. Yeah.
saying that would have been a better movie necessarily,
Yeah,
but
fuck me. Yeah.
something. I'm just saying, I'm not
Yeah.
a screenwriter. I don't know what the best thing would have been.
You're not Scott Z. Burns.
But
you're Scott
there was
Ellis.
something missing. There was something missing, and maybe that was a part of it. But yeah, I don't know. So I just felt like something was missing, that it couldn't really. When I compare it against these other similar films, it just is not as good. I got to be honest. But yeah, the substance of the film is very shocking, and the world should know, and all this stuff that's all fine. But
Bit of a cheat code, would you say?
yeah,
Because
like you said, it's substance over style.
It is.
100%, right?
I feel like when I was watching it too, they were going for the Aaron Sorkin walk and talk style,
Right.
but they didn't have the
Yeah.
Sorkin dialogue.
No,
Yeah.
You know, they didn't have the pizzazz.
it wasn't enticing to listen to. It was just like,
no,
okay,
there's a little.
Did he do the Social Network?
Yeah,
yeah.
It's not a
Sorkin
Social
did, yeah.
Network, you know.
yeah, or the West Wing,
Yeah.
or you know, the,
The
newsroom.
Ooh,
Like
great show. Check it
it's
out.
it's like
They
the
needed
newsroom,
some of
but
that, yeah.
without the spark.
Yeah. Well, let's give our ratings, and we can potentially talk spoilers. I'm gonna start off. I'm gonna go. It's a heavy 2,
Woo-hoo!
right down the middle.
Ouch.
I'm gonna say heavy 3.
I'm gonna say heavy 3. Heavy 3
Yeah.
as well.
Damn. There you have it. Anything you guys want to bring up, spoiler wise? We got to see some Zero Dark 30,
Yeah,
right?
that's a great movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
it's
was
a
just
better
watching
movie.
it on.
It's
Just watching the movie.
little
My favorite part.
It's a little. I was just say it's a little dicey when you're watching another movie, and then you're like, "Fuck, I kind of want to watch Zero Dark
No,
Thirty."
leave it on.
Who directed Zero Dark 30
Yeah.
again? Was it?
Scott Z. Burns.
Oh, what's her name? No, Catherine Bigelow.
Right. Okay. It wasn't Soderbergh.
No, it
Which
wasn't
would've
his
made more
boy.
sense.
Very glad this
Steven
wasn't,
Soderbergh
wasn't shot on an iPhone.
Right.
Because
They
Yeah.
could have.
They could have.
They might have.
They.
Are you sure they didn't?
I don't think
Had
they did.
don't think so?
Soderbergh done it would be on an iPhone.
It would have been
Right.
alright.
Right. That
I
would
thought
have really
it
brought
looked-
us into it.
It looked pretty good.
I thought it looked okay. And
Cold, muted colors.
It looked fine. I liked the concrete on the outside of that building. That
Thank
the
you.
pattern was nice, but that's
Still
not enough.
photography shot.
That's not enough for
the
me.
cube pattern.
There's that one shot
I did
where
love that.
Adam Driver is in the stairwell, and there's like kind of has this green lighting in the stairwell.
Mm.
The camera's outside the building, and it's like a frosted glass, and you see the concrete, and
Yeah, I'm telling you.
that might have been the best shot. But
I did like
honestly,
his jogging in Washington when he stops and takes that phone call, and you have like right in front of across from the White House. I just thought nice still photography. No,
it's okay.
I
There's
didn't
nothing to write home about
No.
for me.
I've never
I think that's par for
defended
the
a
course.
3.5 so passionately of a movie I didn't give a fuck about. I don't know. Maybe it's low expectations because, like I said, this is not my.
I had
cup
no
of tea.
expectation either. Yeah.
I also thought it was like.
I'll leave.
I thought it was like
I'm trying.
shocking that the guys who came up with it were like given the responsibility of like making sure it worked. Like that to me was like subtle, but one of the most crazy things that came out of this was like you come up with this torture method, you come up with this whole like way to extract information out of terrorists,
Yeah.
and then like you see you're experimenting with it, and then you're the ones who get to decide if it's working or not. Like
They made a
obvious,
PowerPoint.
like
There's
pretty-
no oversight.
like there's no oversight.
In
You're
fact,
like
there was
you're
no
gonna be like,
oversight.
I'm gonna do this thing for the first time ever, and then I'm gonna get to decide if it's working or not. And it's like,
Yeah, like when you're saying the processes that they have to go through to get stuff green lit.
yeah,
I was gonna say like or the fact that they don't. Like the fact that
Yeah.
they can sort of like override or be like or lie. Just
Mhm.
yeah, this guy's a leader of Al Qaeda. We're gonna go ahead with our new program.
It's like we swear, but it was almost like it's just the
He's
way
not.
that they were kind of saying, "Oh, believe me, he is a leader in Al Qaeda."
yeah.
You know, I don't have any training or any background in this. I've never interrogated anyone.
yeah,
I don't. There's no science to back this up. But trust me, he's
Yeah.
in Al Qaeda, and so we should torture him.
and then it's like, oh, everything we got from him was either something we already had or it was a lie, and it's like,
It's so crazy that they ended up doing that because it's like to me that's common knowledge. It's like the Spanish Inquisition or something. It's like you can't
Never
torture
expected.
someone to convert or something like that because
Yeah.
they're just gonna do it to live.
yeah,
Well,
You know, they're not doing it because they believe.
There's a great line where Adam Driver tells Annette Bening that they waterboarded him 183 times.
Yeah,
And she's like, if it worked once, why did they have to do it 183 times?
crazy.
And he says, hopefully my report will ask the world that, right?
Yeah.
And like, it's just like these guys were so eager to do this stuff. They really were like psychos. Like they were
That's the way they were portrayed. Yeah.
like that's why they're portrayed. Like
There was
any
one scene that
excuse.
the guy almost was brought to tears because he sort of was trying to paint himself as a patriot.
Yeah.
Defending his country. That one scene, right?
They did like humanize them a bit
A
with
little
that
bit,
one
Yeah.
glimmer of
Otherwise, it would have been
humanity.
just pure
Pure
evil, for
evil.
no reason, right? But they tried
Yeah.
to give some reasoning to it, but obviously, the ends don't justify the means in this case, right?
and when they go like, oh yeah, like it works, trust me, like we've tried it on each other. Like I'm like,
We've tested it. and it's
yeah,
like,
I'm like,
okay,
what
but-
the
Oh, yeah,
fuck?
man.
Like you haven't waterboarded each other just to
and, like it's
I don't-
safe.
I don't even
It's
get it.
safe.
And I
Yeah.
do like
Dude's drowning.
the one sort of like theme I like is the exploring that these people in power can do no wrong sort of idea, like the CIA, like what you're saying. They're like, well, we're with the CIA. We have no proof that this man is an Al Qaeda leader, but we're with the CIA. So move it along. We'll be torturing him.
Like they
Thanks.
just have their own narrative. Like we're doing this to protect. Like what? You don't agree? Like you don't want to protect?
yeah.
Oh, you
the
want
country,
terrorists
like-
to destroy America? Like
Annette Bening literally says, "Let me get this straight, Daniel. Are you implying the CIA can commit murder, as
Oh.
if they're like God mode, like they can do no wrong?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yes, it can be done. They are human."
He died, right?
Yeah.
What else?
or
like-
that scene where they're talking about the legal ramification. It's like, oh, if it doesn't work, then like we're doing it wrong.
Mhm.
And it's like, what?
It's just very flawed
It's
logic.
so
right?
fucked that they were like, yep, let's keep going with this.
the movie served the purpose of the report itself in a very meta way for me. It was very eye-opening as a Canadian.
Well, I think that'll do it for our review of the report.
What do I know?
Check it out on Amazon Prime if you like. Phil, where can people find you?
You find me on Letterboxd at Wicked Swami.
Very nice. You can find me on Twitter at Franey25 and Instagram and Letterboxd at UpRealAtom.
You can find us at Upper Late Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, as well. If you like this video, leave a like on it, leave a comment below in the comment section, and of course subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. And as always, keep it real.